Burnout is basically the physical and emotional and mental exhaustion from prolonged stress. It often happens with work, but it doesn't have to be just around work. It can be life. And it kind of is a time where you feel pretty empty, overwhelmed, depleted, disconnected. You can find yourself feeling numb, and it spills into other areas of life. So if it does start at work, it often really impacts, it almost always would really impact your family life as well. And if it's starting just from, everything going on in your life socially and outside of work, it'll probably impact your work situation as well. So it's that overwhelmed feeling physically, emotionally, and mentally. Signs of burnout that you might find is constant fatigue. So you're always tired even after you've slept. Irritability and numbness in your relationships and how you're interacting with your family. I'm going to get Blair to share in a little bit how it played out for him when he went through burnout. Emotional disconnection from the people that you're closest to as well, just not being able to connect and just feeling that numbness relationally there. You have physical symptoms too, sometimes headaches, exhaustion again, sometimes gut issues and insomnia, really struggling to sleep. You can feel anxious, so your chest might be tight, feeling invisible or unappreciated, or just having this sense of something is not quite working or not quite fulfilling. And loss of motivation and joy, just not being able to see the joy in things regardless of how connected they are to your stress. So overall loss of motivation and joy. And when you went through it, and you went through burnout in 2020, right as COVID hit, do you want to explain a little bit about how it felt for you when you started experiencing it?
Yeah, and it was it in the moment, like straight away, I was just so confused of what was happening, right?
Yeah.
So, as we've mentioned before, I was in pastoral care. I was in pastoral ministry back in the day, and I've had a bit of a colorful background, and with that came, like, I was able to relate to people at many different levels. The one area where I really struggled to relate to people with was mental health. Like, I just didn't understand it. It was just like, people would share about anxiety, and I've experienced it before, but just not that crippling feeling before. And so I was always confused by people, what they were sharing with me and stuff until the burnout happened. So reflecting back on it, I could see the signs reflecting back on it, but during it, when it was building up, I didn't see those signs. I had no idea what was happening. But it was at a point where, so things were just really, really busy. Some pretty intense stuff was going on at the same time. And then COVID hit, and our roles kind of a lot of our programs became redundant.
Well, it all pivoted very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. And so, like, it was like, well, I'm doing all of these things, but now I'm only doing this one little thing because of COVID. And like everything slowed way, way down. And it wasn't long after that slowing down, it's like everything caught up and just hit me.
Yeah.
So I think it was about 2 weeks. And it was just so random. I was on the couch for literally about 2 weeks and just could not move. I was just like, physically, I could not move. I was just crippled with anxiety and fear of I don't know what. And that was the physical experience, like this inability to move. But then it was this also mental inability to process anything. Like, I was just confused. I couldn't put thoughts together. I was just so numb in my head, and it was such a horrific time for me because we just had our daughter too. Like, she was only 6 months, 4 months old or something like that. And like, I've had this precious newborn, and COVID, even though lockdowns were really, really hard, could have been an amazing opportunity for me to connect with the kids because I was more present. I was around. I wasn't going away for work and stuff. Like, I was at home. But I was just so disconnected from everything. So it was a big physical crippling feeling and a big mental crippling feeling.
I remember in the lead up to your burnout, there were things, like you said, that now you can look back and see red flags or whatever. But I remember talking about them along the way, probably the last 6 months, and that kind of thing, like overwhelm, dissatisfaction, just numbness, irritability, that kind of thing, were coming out, especially in work.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I just feel like people just push through those things. We're like, yep, that's just normal. Instead of it being, and we've gotten better at this now because of what you've gone through.
Yeah.
We've been better at identifying, oh, hang on, this is not going in a good direction, and putting things in place. Like, even this morning, we were having a conversation about putting things in place before it gets too overwhelming, because we can feel that niggling, brewing thing. But it's funny to look back and be like, oh, we were having those conversations. We were aware of all the little things.
Mm.
I think what we weren't aware of was how it was weighing all together. It for you, it was a very sudden, like bang, burnout, like
Mm.
physical burnout.
Mhm.
And it was obviously brewing from all of the stuff that happened, like you've just described. For some people, I think it might be a slow brew, like just like over time, you're just finding yourself more and more disconnected. That's definitely what I think I've experienced when I've
Yeah.
gone through it, is more of like a overall numb, irritable vibe,
Yep.
disconnected vibe, and it slowly develops. But for you, it just was like real quick, instant. Yeah. So
Mm.
it's again different for everybody, but those kinds of things where it's not even easy to explain what's going on. It's just that there's something going on.
Yeah, and again, because we've gone through it, like, so we were having conversations today about our jobs, and so for me, I'm like, well, I can just see those patterns starting again, and it's just stress, man. It's just busyness. It's all those things sort of built up together. And when I start to identify it now, it's like it's similarities for the conversations we're having. I'm like, I just can't process. I just can't think through this thing. And then it's like, well, I can't put things in place to actually help me do what I know is going to help me.
Yeah,
So like physical exercise, like I want to enjoy physical exercise, but because I've got so many things on my mind and I'm so like busy and stressed, it's like it's another task. And so navigating through that can be quite tough as well. And again, back then in 2000, like 2020, we just didn't know that.
2000.
Yeah, we didn't know that sort of stuff. Like
Yeah, we didn't.
you
Not
did
like
just
that.
push through
Yeah.
it, and then until you couldn't anymore.
It makes me think of there are mornings where I don't eat breakfast and I
Yeah.
need to. And honestly, if it gets past 11, which right now I'm feeling it, if it gets past 11, I know I need to eat, especially because I've got medication I need to take. I cannot decide what to eat. It's like
Yeah.
the further into the day that I get without eating, the less I can decide what to eat. So I
Yeah.
put it off, and then it just becomes a snowball, which is
Yeah.
obviously way minor. But
Yeah.
I don't know if it's blood sugar or what, but it's interesting. It's the same sort of thing. It's like, I know there's stuff I need to do, but the further into this burnout or approaching burnout that I get, the less I can do those things, the less I can think clearly, the less I can process and put things in place. So there's a few reasons why burnout is hard to identify. One, if you haven't gone through it, that's going to be one overarching reason why it might be hard to identify. You don't know what it is and you don't know how to expect it. Like I said, I think we're better at it now. But there's a high functioning element to it as well. For some people, again, going to be different for everybody. High functioning burnout where you're still doing everything, so you're not crumbling, like everything, you're still doing everything, but inside you've got this numbness brewing, or you're still looking capable on the outside, but inside you're running on fumes. You're very empty. It's coming from a very empty, dry place. So it can be hard to identify because you're still doing everything that you need to do.
Yeah, and I think you just said before as well, it looks different for different people. Like I've heard of other people that have been in similar situations and their burnout looks very different. Like they didn't have, I literally couldn't work. I had to finish my job. And I tried other jobs. It was COVID, so it was hard to get another job in the first place. But we ended up moving out of the city, like out of Melbourne to rural, because I just was not coping. Like I just was so struggling with, why am I struggling so much, And then I hear from other people that have gone through burnout. It's like, no, I just had to cut back. I just had to slow down. Like, I couldn't not just slow down. I had to remove myself. Like, I was very intense. So just hearing what you're saying there too, it's really important to understand of like, what my experience was. That's not burnout, if that makes sense. Like it's not that
That's not what it is.
It's not what it is.
Yeah.
It was my experience of it, but that's not what burnout is. There is that slow burn. There is that stuff where you're just trying to slog it through internally. It's really, you're really struggling.
I would say though that your burnout was burnt out. Like you were burnt out.
Yeah,
I
true.
think for months before you were burning out. And so it depends on as well where you get to the point. And definitely prevention is better than treatment.
Yeah.
So if you can see those signs, which is one of the reasons we're doing this episode, before you get there, it's way better because you can put things in place. So there's this other thing that it really frustrates me, and it's something that we've wrestled with a lot, and I wrestle with a lot, and I don't know what to do about it. But our culture has a burnout culture because our culture is so busy, hustle, stress, full lives, layering things. So you're not just going on a walk, you're going to walk with a podcast. You're not just working at home on one task, you're working at home on multiple tasks. There's just all these things that our culture just seems to be continuing to pile on. And it is burnout culture, in my opinion. It's just a culture of, yeah, it's good to be stressed. You're stressed, you're busy. There's almost like a pride in, I'm so busy, I'm so busy. And some people that are attuned to mental health would probably be like, oh, just be careful. But some people, the reaction when you're busy is like, oh, good for you, good job. Or like, you're working so hard, good job. And that's great. I understand where that comes from. And I fall into it.